G'day YouTube, BoxheadSupensa here, welcoming you to Starcraft. Starcraft is a real-time strategy game developed by Blizzard Entertainment and released in 1998 for the PC. It was then later released for the Macintosh computer in 1999 and even had a Nintendo 64 console released in the year 2000. When the game was first released to the public as a showcase in 1996, it was compared to Warcraft 2 a lot for using the same kind of engine. This caused Blizzard Entertainment to go back and redesign the game from scratch to make it different effectively. It was then showcased back to the public in 1997, where it received much more positive feedback. The game takes you through the story of three different races: the Terran, the Zerg, and the Protoss, as you see on screen here. The game sees you commanding an army of forces of one of these races to do battle and war against the other races. The game scored quite well when reviewed by game reviewers and scored an average score of approximately 91% across the board from places such as GameSpot and IGN. It won many awards during its time, including 3 Game of the Year awards. It also was so popular that it became a national esport of South Korea and is now played and still played professionally across the world. The gameplay of the game includes picking a race and doing war with the other opponents. It has you control an army of forces to try and destroy the opponent. It incorporates resource management, base construction, and army manipulation. The resource management asks you to control 3 different types of resources: supply, minerals, and Vespene gas. Minerals and Vespene gas are resources that must be collected by your army to be able to build and train more troops. Supply is the amount of units that you are allowed to have on board at any time. It asks you to have a base constructor where you construct a base to build and train additional troops and to protect yourself. It also incorporates a lot of army manipulation, normally referred to as micromanagement, where you control your army to keep them out of danger and to send them to attack your opponents. The backstory of the game is quite complex, but a quick rundown is basically Earth got too populated, and so the government decided that they would send all the undesirable humans away to another area of the galaxy. These people were sent to the Korp-Rulu sector, and I don't know if I pronounced that right, where they created their own colonies, and then they decided to call themselves Terrans. Each group of Terrans forged their own kind of faction. One of the groups was the Confederates, which seemed to be the most strongest, most powerful one, and they took charge of all the Terrans and became the self-proclaimed leaders, much to the displeasure of a lot of other Terrans. Because of this, a rebellious faction called the Sons of Korhol decided to basically say, no, we don't want that to happen, after their planet Korhol was destroyed by the Confederates. While this is all happening, a mysterious race called the Xel'Naga were manipulating and mutating other life forms of the universe. They first decided to create the Protoss, which was sort of like a pure, very intelligent, very technology advanced race, and mutated them so that they would become this kind of perfection, as they called it. After they had achieved what they thought was perfection, the Xel'Naga decided to visit the Protoss, where the Protoss worshipped them as the gods of their creation. Unfortunately, after a time, the Protoss began to get jealous of one another and each of their Protoss factions, causing the Xel'Naga to deem them as a failed experiment and leave the Protoss alone. After the Xel'Naga leave, they decide to try again to create this thing they called perfection, so they create the Zerg. The Zerg were originally an insect-like race, and the Xel'Naga mutated them to become more powerful and be able to basically mutate and become other life forms to further their variety of things they can do. The Xel'Naga are watching, and they're very happy with their species, and they believe they have created perfection. At about that time, the Zerg realized that, hey, there's some Xel'Naga watching over us. We should basically assimilate them to get their space travel technology and be able to conquer other planets. So they attack the Xel'Naga and destroy them, which is not very nice. in my opinion, and then they start conquering other planets. While that's happening, the Protoss have discovered that the Terrans are in part of their section of the galaxy, and so they're watching over them, sort of just observing, seeing what they can do, being somewhat impressed, but a little bit, oh, they're not as good as us. Unfortunately, while the Terrans are busy constructing bases and colonizing the planets, the Zerg infiltrate one of the Terran planets, which the Terrans aren't aware of. The Protoss are, and the Protoss don't want this infestation of the Zergs to get too far, so they destroy one of the Terran planets to destroy the infestation. Fortunately, the Terrans didn't know that the Zerg were there, so they thought the Protoss were just attacking them, and so the Terrans began to wage war against the Protoss. And Zerg continue to spread and infest multiple other Terran planets, and the Protoss are trying to stop the Zerg, and the Terrans are sort of caught in all the middle of it. And that's when the game begins. So I'll see you all in the first video for the gameplay, and I hope to see you then. Have a good one.